Chuck was skeptical when he received a call about a giant lizard terrorizing a remote village. He thought it was a prank or an exaggeration. After all, a giant reptile in a dry area seemed impossible. But as more villagers begged for his help, Chuck began to wonder if there was truth behind the strange story. Deciding to investigate, he gathered his gear and headed into the unknown. Chuck had encountered all kinds of reptiles in his career, but nothing like this. The villagers spoke of a creature with scaly skin, long tail, and immense eyes. Chuck thought it might be a crocodile, but quickly ruled that out. The more he listened, the more serious it sounded. The creature had been taking livestock for days, and the villagers were terrified. Chuck's journey to the village took hours, and as he ventured deeper into the wilderness, he realized just how isolated the area was. He packed his tranquilizers and equipment, but the size of the creature had him wondering if it was truly something beyond his experience. The villagers' panic was palpable. Something extraordinary was happening here. Upon arrival, Chuck was greeted by nearly every villager. Their fear was clear. They hadn't dared leave their homes at night. The creature had attacked the previous evening, snatching a goat, and had done so for nearly a week. Chuck listened intently as they described the creature's behavior, his mind racing with the implications. The villagers had a few blurry pictures of the creature. Chuck studied them closely and noticed something surprising: the corner of a tire from one of their vehicles, giving him a sense of scale. The creature was massive, far bigger than any reptile Chuck had ever seen. He couldn't ignore it any longer. This wasn't a hoax. Chuck knew he had to capture the creature alive to study it. He didn't know what it was yet, but it was clear it was too dangerous to just leave in the wild. He began to gather tranquilizers and called wildlife experts for help, but his efforts were complicated by the arrival of scientists and journalists, who seemed more interested in capturing the creature than studying it. Chuck and a few trusted villagers set a plan to catch the creature. They placed lanterns and used noise to lure it into a spot where they could get a shot. Hours passed as they waited, tension building. Finally, a shadow moved in the distance. It was the creature creeping toward them, its scales gleaming faintly under the moonlight. Chuck aimed the tranquilizer gun and fired. The dart struck the creature's flank, but it didn't seem to have any effect. The creature continued to move as if unfazed. Chuck quickly reloaded, realizing that the tranquilizer might not be strong enough. As the creature began thrashing, Chuck knew he had to act quickly. He fired a second dart, this time hitting the creature with more precision. It slowly staggered, then collapsed. The villagers, who had been holding their breath, sighed in relief as the creature finally fell into unconsciousness. With the creature subdued, scientists arrived to examine it. Dr. Elise Mitchell, a biologist, was fascinated by the creature's unique anatomy. After testing its DNA, they discovered it was a hybrid, part crocodile, part salamander. The findings sent shockwaves through the scientific community. The village, once peaceful, was now a global sensation. Tourists flocked to see the creature's habitat, and the villagers struggled to preserve their way of life amidst the sudden attention. Chuck, meanwhile, couldn't help but feel a mix of awe and concern. The creature was a living mystery, and its future was uncertain. As the creature was carefully moved to a research facility, Chuck watched it explore its new environment. Over time, scientists would continue studying the hybrid creature, but Chuck knew this was only the beginning of a much larger story. What had once seemed like an unbelievable tale had turned into one of the most extraordinary discoveries in natural history.